webinars where we gather notable speakers from cutting-edge companies to provide you indispensable skills in succeeding in your entrepreneurial ventures. And today, we're very honored to present to you Ander Frischer. And Ander Frischer is a top digital marketer and elite marketing educator at Instapage in San Francisco, California. Instapage is a platform that provides professional marketers with a way to build and A/B test landing pages. What Ander is going to do is he's going to create a landing page on an Instapage platform, and then he's going to teach us how to quickly test the concept or an idea and how to promote your idea using paid and organic traffic. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass on the word to Ander, who's going to begin the presentation.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And everybody, it is so great to be here. I've heard a lot about what Ethohum is about, everything that you're working on, and I am incredibly excited to show you an excellent way to validate the ideas that you have for your startups, whether you are you're still working on what the idea really means, or you already have your idea and you are ready to put it to test. Now, I think it's important to say that I've worked with quite a few startups. I used to be a digital marketing consultant. I've had a few full-time roles with startups as well. And it's incredibly important to test your ideas. Make sure that they are worth investing your time, your money, and your energy too, because we all know how much time it can take to do all of those things. And if you spend a couple years or even 6 months, even 3 months working on an idea that you have you had the opportunity to determine was not actually valid, was not worth pursuing, you could have spent that time pursuing something else, or you could have pivoted that idea to something that was worth pursuing. So yeah, I'm really excited. We've got some great information for you. Instapage is a really cool company. We are based in San Francisco, right in the heart of Silicon Valley, and I'm very excited to such a diverse international audience. In the chat there, if you want to go ahead and mention where you're from, anything about you, I'd love to know who is attending, and also any questions as well. As we move throughout the presentation, I will be monitoring 4 questions. And I will be taking those questions and answering them as they are relevant to the presentation in the moment. So if you have a question that pertains or is about what I am talking about in the moment, please feel free to ask. And if you have any other questions, you are welcome to ask them, and I will address them at the end of the presentation during our Q&A. And without further ado, I will get started. I am going to turn off my webcam, if that's okay. Oh, and another thing, if you can't hear me or you can't see the screen, there's any problem whatsoever, please feel free to comment in the chat, and Daniel and I will do what we can to make sure that that you have access to the presentation and to my screen. All right, let's see here. I'm going to turn off this screen share here. All right, and I assume everybody can see my screen at the moment. So a little bit about the overview of what we're going to talk about today. The first thing we'll do is we'll talk about the value of landing pages as they relate to your website and how they function as a natural extension of your advertising. This will be very basic. There's a lot to talk about in terms of landing pages. I remember a few times I've done presentations like these, and Daniel actually mentioned something to me as well that a lot of people don't realize how much there is to know about them. So everything that we're covering, there's going to be a lot more material. I will send you some resources and some links at the end of the presentation for you to do some more learning on your own with. But I will be covering an overview of landing pages in this presentation. The next thing we'll talk about is validating your product with a landing page. And most people know of the first version of their product as an MVP, or the most viable product. We're going to talk about the most viable page and creating that page that's going to most quickly and most efficiently determine if your idea is worth pursuing, or if you make a pivot or a change to your idea to make it more viable. After that, we will talk about measuring success and A/B testing and getting the most value out of your most valuable page. So a little bit about what Instapage is. Instapage is a platform that allows you to quickly build and A/B test landing pages. And I will be showing you some of the product towards the end. It's incredibly easy to use. It's the most powerful tool on the market, and it's very, very affordable. I'll show you our pricing just so you can see it at the very end as well. Our mission is to continually lower the cost of customer acquisition. We want to make it as cheap and as easy as possible for you to add new users to your platform and to make money doing so, while also not costing you a lot of money as well. I think it's important to note, I know a lot of you are probably trying to bootstrap your company. That is not an easy thing to do. It is very, very impressive that so many of you are up to the challenge, are willing to take that leap and pursue entrepreneurship. I have a lot of respect for that, and I know that the team here at Instapage has a lot of respect for that as well. Whoops, excuse me. I guess I'll leave the webcam on so you can see me, see my facial reactions if that means anything. So we started in 2011, and we did not take on very much funding to make this happen. A profitable bootstrap company is not easy to come by, and I think that Instapage is a really fascinating and excellent example of one that has been able to do that. We have 70 employees. I am in the San Francisco office. We also have employees in Poland. That's where our engineering team is located. And Romania. That is where our customer service and customer success team is located. I think it's also interesting that our company, in the past year, pretty much half of the employees have joined. We're growing very quickly. Right now, we have over 250,000 users, creating over 1,500 landing pages every single day, and that's including some fairly big companies. It includes MTV. It includes Louis Vuitton, one of the accessory company for clothing. It includes the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Oracle is another one of our customers. And another thing that's really cool, and we'll get into this in a little bit, is that our landing pages feature a conversion rate of an average, typically around or more than 25%. That is really, really impressive. And if you know anything about looking at conversion rates and trying to optimize for that, if you have a 25% conversion rate, you're going to be pretty happy. Now that I've talked about Instapage a little bit, let me tell you a little bit about myself. That is me. I am the marketing educator here at Instapage. I've spent my career in digital marketing across all channels, all industries, all verticals, a number of different types of companies. I have experience with pretty much everything under the digital marketing umbrella. That said, I'm especially passionate about landing page marketing. I think it's incredibly important, and with the degree to which you can target your advertising, target your paid media now, creating a message-aligned experience with the landing page is incredibly important. Speaking of which, let's get into that. Websites versus landing pages. I know a lot of you that have websites for your products already have probably spent a fair amount of time and money and energy into creating that website, creating an experience that is very exploratory, that provides information about your product, provides, excuse me, provides information about your product, provides information about you, provides information about your company. For somebody who is looking to really learn more about what you do, what you offer, it's a very, very powerful tool. Now, that said, websites tend to not be very focused. That's where a landing page comes in. A landing page is a standalone page that people are clicking on a link in an ad, a social media post, a search result, whatever it may be. And that ads include Facebook, that might include Google AdWords or the Google Display Network, or any advertising platform out there. Let me give you an example. And actually, before I dive into examples, here's a couple of other things that I think are definitely worth touching on. If you are driving traffic to a website as opposed to a message-aligned targeted landing page, you're going to see traffic converting around 3% versus the 25% conversion rates that you see across our platform. Obviously, a very, very significant difference. This is a company I imagine many of you might be familiar with, Uber, based in San Francisco here, and this is the Uber website. In fact, I'm going to take this presentation and minimize it here, and I'm going to show you what that website looks like specifically so we can explore it a little further. Now, the truth is, this is a great website. There's a ton of valuable information here for anybody who wants to know what Uber offers. And when I say what Uber offers, I mean every single thing that Uber offers. Uber is a dual-sided platform in that it allows people to ride with Uber or to drive with Uber and make money doing so. If anyone is not familiar with Uber, Uber is basically a taxi app, a car sharing, car riding app. So here on the website, this is truly a fantastic website. They do a very, very good job of explaining what the value of the product is, and they really explain what it is for anybody who has any interest in using any part of it. It is very exploratory. There's information down here on careers if people want to work there, the story, the media. There's a help center. Here are the social media links, a language selector. And as you can see, there are a lot of links on this page. If you want to become a driver, you click up there versus starting to ride with Uber right there. Finding a city, lots of links. It is very exploratory. Going back to the presentation, oops, excuse me. Let's take a look. Sorry, the presentation here is lagging just a little bit. Let's take a look at what an Uber landing page actually looks like. So this is an Uber landing page, and I'm going to pull up actually an ad for you here, a Facebook ad, so you can see what it's like and where it comes from. This is an Uber Facebook ad. Hopefully all of you can see that well enough. And Facebook, as many of you know, has very, very highly targeting capabilities. You can very specifically narrow down exactly who you want to show your ad to. This ad in particular, it is an ad for Uber, but it's not an ad specifically for the overall Uber product. It's an ad for a specific component of the product, for people who want to drive for Uber and make money doing so, but do not have a car. It's a very, very specific audience. And Uber, whatever they are using to target this, is probably doing so in a very, very specific way. You can see this car pays for you to drive it. The copy, the text says, want to drive with Uber but don't have a car, we can help. It's very, very specific. This is the landing page that it takes you. It is incredibly, and actually, I have another version that I'm going to show you right here as well. So this is the complete version of the landing page. I took a giant screenshot of the entire thing. And if you look at this page in relation to this ad, the only goal of this page is to get people to sign up who want to drive but do not have a car. The page is very, very specifically tailored to the messaging of the ad and the needs of the target audience for the ad. So if we go through this, it's got all the information you could possibly want about that component of the Uber platform. FAQs, it's got more information, how to get a car, what the process is. And another thing you'll notice, they do have some legal information down here. But another thing you'll notice is the only links on the page are to register, sign up to drive. That is the call to action, and a form for you to fill out so when you sign up to drive, you can proceed more quickly. If you already do have an account, you can log in right there. And the whole purpose of this page is really to get somebody to sign up for this specific component of the Uber platform. It's far more intent-based. I'm going to check and see questions here. Okay, cool. Looks like we're okay at the moment. I'm going to continue. So that really, this is a great example of a landing page and the value of highly message aligned and very, very targeted experience. Let's transition to talking about landing pages for idea validation. This is a very, very simple explanation of how we'll go through this process. Landing pages are an easy, scalable way to validate your MVP with both paid and organic distribution. And the best part about all of this is setting it up only takes a couple of hours. We'll talk about the tools required, landing page components, a most viable page, A/B testing and success analysis, tips and best practices, and then I'll show you a demo of our product. The tools that are going to be required are an Instapage account. We do offer a free 30-day trial. It's the easiest and most powerful landing page builder available, and there are alternatives to our product. You will be able to do a lot of what I'm saying, a lot of what I'll talk about with some of the competitors out there, but we do believe that Instapage is the best solution. The other thing that you're going to need is an email marketing tool, whether it's MailChimp, Aweber, Infusionsoft, any marketing automation software will also help and will help you retarget. A lot of what you're going to get out of validating an idea with a landing page is you're going to be able to capture email addresses and use that for remarketing, retargeting, and also using that to start conversations with people who are signing up for whatever you are providing. And speaking of that, you don't just want to capture an email and not give anything in return. Ideally, create an ebook, an infographic, a webinar like this one, or any other resource to create immediate value for the traffic to your page. That way, when somebody is submitting their email address, they are getting something in return immediately. That also allows you to get more feedback and identify. Excuse me. It also allows you to get more feedback and start conversations with those people once you have their email addresses. The other thing that you're going to need is an advertising campaign. Facebook, AdWords, all of these are going to help you drive targeted traffic towards your landing page to help validate your idea. And we'll do so in a very, very highly specific way. So we looked at a landing page for Uber. This is an example of a landing page that we use for a webinar that you are all welcome to attend if you would like to. I will send you the link at the I will send you a link at the end of the webinar. This is our Master Instapage in 30 Minutes webinar. So if you do want to check out Instapage in greater detail, I highly, highly recommend you sign up for this. I basically go over everything you need to know about how to use our platform and answer any questions you have so you can get started as fast as possible. The first part is going to be a headline that catches attention, demonstrates initial value, and maybe a sub-headline with a little bit more of a value proposition. The next component is going to be form capture, and this is how you gauge interest with determining if somebody is going to fill out a form and request more information or get on an email list or whatever it may be in exchange for something that you're going to give them. In this case, it's exchange for a webinar. That is how you can gauge the interest based on whether or not they fill out that form. Creative assets. This is important. The creative assets on this page are fairly minimal. We do have a picture in the background. There's my headshot there, so people can, oh, this is gonna, you are gonna be talking to or having the webinar with a real human being. So creative assets are very important as well. And then the value proposition. What will a visitor get by signing up? In this case, I don't know if you can do that because the text is a little small, but it says, join a free session with Ander, our marketing educator, and learn how to quickly build and A/B test high-converting landing pages. No coding or design experience needed. And then I go on to say, in this demo, here's what you'll learn in very, very simple, easy-to-understand bullet points. Let's talk a little bit about what it means to actually treat your page as a hypothesis and how that works for validating an idea. What you really want to do is you don't want to treat your page as kind of this end goal, as kind of this way to solidify something that you already know works. The attitude to go into it with is as an experiment, as a hypothesis. And it's very important. You know, a lot of people are inclined to use a coming soon page just to get interest and capture an email address and not give anything in return. The problem with that in validating an idea is that you want to identify people who are actually willing to use it and pay pay for it. And having a product, or at least indicating that the product already exists. And there are ways to do this in which, even if you don't have a product already, if you have a very, very simple MVP, or at least something functional for someone to understand, that works as well. But having a coming soon page without actually being able to gauge if people are going to pay and engage for it, that's not necessarily going to work as well. It's also important to keep in mind, this is a phase of your entrepreneurial journey in which you really need to be learning. What works about your product? What do people like? What do people not like? What is something that you can change about your product for people to start liking it and for more people to start liking it? Conversions are very, very important, but building a page and optimizing for the ability to learn about what you can do to make your product better and more viable is much more important. A lot of people are very concerned, oh, I need to capture this many emails before I dive in and pursue my project a little further. The truth is that if you capture even a small number of emails and you are able to learn a lot about why those people wanted to submit their email in exchange for whatever you are providing, you're going to get a lot of value. You really want to create an opportunity for feedback and conversation about your most viable product and the problem that your product solves. Joel Gascon, his name is very hard to pronounce, but the CEO of Buffer. Buffer is a social media scheduling tool. He has a great definition for an MVP, and it is that an MVP is an opportunity for validated learning. That's really what it comes to. And the concept of a most viable page is as well. All right, moving on, let's talk about context. Whatever you're putting on your page, specifically in the value propositions and the headline, it's very, very different depending on where your traffic is coming from. If your traffic is coming from Google AdWords versus Facebook or versus any other platform, you're going to have a different user experience when they end up on your landing page. Facebook ads. I am a huge, huge fan of Facebook ads. You can see this Facebook ad right here. There are a number of different places that Facebook ads occur within their platform. You can see it in the sidebar. This is a newsfeed ad that we actually use here at Instapage. Facebook ads are served towards a user in the discovery phase of the problem and the discovery phase of the solution. So what's happening when someone sees a Facebook ad is they are not actively going out and looking for the solution, or they might not even be aware of the problem and the need for your product to begin with. Now, they're seeing this ad because you've identified what you think. You've identified a hypothesis of a target audience for which your product will solve a problem that they have. So really what you're doing with a Facebook ad and with the landing page that comes as a result of a Facebook ad is educating this audience with content and copy that establishes the problem your product helps them solve. Google AdWords is a little bit different. If you have not used Google AdWords, there is an example down there beneath the copy on this slide. But everybody has seen a Facebook ad if you are on the Facebook platform, and everybody has seen AdWords. There's also the Display Network, which functions in a similar way to the targeting that Facebook ads do, in that that is also that's also very educational and awareness and interest focused, because it's showing up on sites that are relevant to what you are specifying. Google AdWords campaigns are based on keyword-specific targeting. So if I search the best landing page platform, I am already aware of a problem, whatever that may be, whether I'm looking for a landing page platform, I am doing some competitive analysis, I am doing whatever it may be, I'm aware of a problem and I am actively looking for a solution. Because of this, I am more catered to going straight for the conversion. I, as the person who is putting this ad out there, already know that somebody has a problem and they need a solution, and they need it really as soon as they can find the most reasonable and the best solution for their specific needs. In that case, it's best to just go straight conversion. And conversion in this case is about getting people to sign up for your email list, submit that email, and get whatever that lead magnet is. Now, kind of going back to having a message-aligned landing page is you want to have a different kind of landing page for a Google AdWords campaign versus a Facebook campaign. A Facebook campaign is going to be far more educational. The lead magnet you provide might be very different, whereas a Google AdWords is going to be much more informational. It's going to have information about the actual product because the person seeing this is already aware of the problem. This is a perfect segue into message matching. The degree of your message matching from your landing page in relation to the ad depends on the specificity of your targeting, understanding your target user and their stage in the buying cycle. Simple message matching is conveying the basic value propositions of your product when you don't know your specific target user. This is used for broader targeting, and this is something that I can imagine many idea stage entrepreneurs are going to benefit from tremendously. When you have a really good idea, it's sometimes you may not know. You may have this great idea that's relevant to so many people, but it's going to be especially relevant to a smaller group of people. And you may not know what that small group of people is, even if you think you do. Some experimentation and A/B testing with your ads could reveal something a little bit different. It's good to start off with a broader targeting, especially if you're going for just to kind of figure out what's sticking and what's working. Deep message matching is using specific value propositions matched to a niche target audience of your ad and the estimated buying cycle of the user. At the point that you're using deep message matching, what you're really doing is keeping in mind how your audience behaves. You've identified your audience. You know what they're looking for. You know what they do, how they behave. You know what their buying cycle is. And by buying cycle, I mean the process by which they actually will go to purchase the product, how much research they're going to do, how much time they're going to take. This is something that is especially relevant to retargeting, but deep message matching is also incredibly important. Experience message matching is best used for maturing campaigns with less variance and is focused on a narrative that reflects your user's experience. This is actually even more relevant to retargeting than the deep messaging, because this is for people who have maybe already some awareness of your product. This might go a little bit beyond validating an MVP, but it's still very important to note with message matching because it is an important part of the landing page experience. Let's talk about how you can measure success for validating an MVP and A/B testing. Every single element of your site can be A/B tested to scientifically improve conversion rates. Now, there are stories out there. It's it's wild actually. There are stories out there. I'll go on to this Uber page here. Actually, let me open the one that I had open before. There are stories of companies, and I don't know if this pertains to Uber, but a lot of people on our platform even, just by changing the headline, just by changing this to something else right here, or changing the call to action, what it says on the button can increase conversion rates. Sometimes it's something as simple as just replacing an image. Other times it might be something a little more complicated, like changing the length of your page, comparing a short page versus a long page. It's really important, however, to keep your testing simple. I know a lot of people are going to be inclined to have, 30 or 40, if you have the time to create that many, 30 or 40 different versions of a landing page. And the truth is that if you have 30 or 40 different variations, you're not going to necessarily be able to determine which variation or which component of a variation is going to work best. Now, that applies to having different variations of a page, but it also applies to having different elements that are changing on the page. So, for example, in this graphic down here, you could see the only thing that's really different is the download now CTA has been moved lower on the page, and they've found that having it higher had a 65% increase in conversions. I'm going to take a look and see what questions are coming up right now. Let's see if there are any that I can answer at the moment. Ovi Okpodu, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And to all of you, if I don't pronounce your name correctly, my apologies. I will do my very best. He's wondering, can Instapage be used to create a landing page for an e-commerce idea to sell unique products? Absolutely. That is 100% something that you can use Instapage for. Perry Garg says, he says, Ander, but there can't be a different landing page for every different feature of a product or service. Landing page will be the same in general for visitors. I understand what you're saying, Perry, but what we're really talking about here is creating a different landing page and actually doing a little bit of opposite of what you're mentioning right here. What we're saying is that it's going to be more effective to create a more targeted experience. Having a link page, I mean, the truth is when you're looking in Google Analytics or whatever analytics you're using, the landing page is the first page that someone is landing on or arriving on when they come to your site. So a landing page could be your home page. I mean, that is, that does fit within the definition that a lot of people use. Now, that said, I think, and the thinking here at Instapage and with a lot of other digital marketing professionals is that having a more targeted, focused experience is going to have an increase in conversion rates and allow you to more quickly test an MVP. All right. Let me go through and see what other questions I can touch on right now. It looks like Barack is answering a few questions. I'll see if I can elaborate on them. So Sarah Ali wants to use. Sarah Ali wants to know how to give hype to a product and how it is possible. I'll go through a few examples at the end of the webinar, and I'll go through a few simple steps as well. Let's see here. Any other questions at the moment? All right. Taufik, it looks like Daniel answered the question about your funding. That's not something that we do specifically here at Instapage. And yes, I am going to give some examples towards the end of the webinar. Moving back to the presentation here. The thing is that, even if you're testing 2 or 3 variations at a time, A/B testing is something that can be very, very scientific. There are products that are dedicated just to A/B testing. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And like I said, the scientific component of it is very, very important. It's important not to jump to conclusions when you're doing an A/B test. And by that, I mean, if you see, 10 people converted on this page and only 1 converted on this page, if you have not given enough time for those pages to sit there for a while and kind of see how they work over time, you may not be able to draw a conclusive choice between the 2 pages. So you can get very scientific about this with how much traffic is served to your page and all these things like that. But a general rule of thumb is to test a page until you have 350 to 400 conversions on each version of your page. Now, what that means is even if you're going to have the same number of conversions, you compare that, and we can do this within our platform. I'll show you. You can do that, and you can compare that to how many visitors were on the page, how many unique visitors, and the ratio is what's going to tell you is converting better. So 35%, even if both of these pages have 350 to 400 conversions, 35% of the visitors to this page converted, and 65% converted on that page. So like I said, you can A/B test pretty much anything that you can possibly imagine, but there are a few that are especially effective. One is an exit pop-up. An exit pop-up is when someone's going to leave the page. When someone is going to leave the page, a pop-up comes up to with the CTA to encourage them to engage. Some people might consider this a source of friction to leaving the page, but it does work very well for some people. Another thing is a CTA text. What speaks to your audience? Using something, saying something like "get more info now" or "learn more" can have a dramatic impact on your conversion rate. Another thing is mobile-only ads. Having the mobile experience, I know that some people are attending this webinar on their mobile phones. The mobile experience tends to be very different than the desktop experience. Many people use desktop as a means of learning more about a specific product. Mobile tends to be more about discovery. People will be, browsing their phones on Facebook, whatever it may be, and so the types of browsing, the types of engagement that you're going to get on mobile are going to be different. And because of that, because it's a smaller screen, you might want a larger call to action button and order text copy. Testing a long versus short landing page is also very, very, it's a great test to run. Having a lot of information versus a little bit of information. That's a more extensive test because you're putting more elements on the page and more copy, but it's also a great one to run. Images, I really, really like this test. Images are very, very important to demonstrating a product's value proposition. And there are, among others, there are two main types of images that I find especially interesting. One is an end result image. An end result image is actually one fairly like this. That is a person driving an Uber and somebody riding in the back of the Uber. That does have a very powerful and convincing component to it. Now, the difference between that and a product image is that a product is actually just showing the product. So the end result is showing what people get as a result of using the product, and it might just be something as simple as someone smiling, where'd it go? Someone smiling like this guy right here. I mean, ultimately, the end result is that he is happier. That's a very, very common end result. If it's an e-commerce product, it might be a picture of what the product is being used on. Now, that said, a product-focused image is going to be something that is a little bit more like this. It's a car. This is something that is the means to finding the solution. So there is a different quality, and that's absolutely something that is worth A/B testing. Another thing is the price. There is an interesting thing that happens when you charge more for a product. A lot of people are worried, oh, I'm charging too much, people are never going to buy this. But there is an element of perceived value that comes from offering a higher price. Typically, if you offer something that is more expensive, sometimes people will perceive that the value is indeed higher, even if the value is the same as pricing it lower. I've got a question here. Let's see. Few questions here. Okay. Harpreet, there are some products where customers are not knowing about your product. How to get those early adopters? That is where a lot of your paid advertising is going to come in. That is where you can direct people from your paid ads to your landing pages to validate your ideas. And that's why you want to be very, very specific in who you're targeting. I've done a lot of work in the past actually with helping people come up with a very, very niche audience. And I actually wasn't planning on talking about this, but it's very, very interesting, so I will. Would you rather have 10,000 people who know about your product and, they're kind of interested but don't really care? Or would you rather have 1,000 people who love your product and want to buy it and are really excited about everything that you are doing? I believe, and a lot of other people believe as well, that it's actually better to have those 1,000 people, and here's why. Those 1,000 people, those small people, those early adopters that you're asking about, Harpreet, those are the people who are going to evangelize your product. Those are the people who are going to use it who are going to tell your friends about it, who are going to use it with enthusiasm. And that is more effective in many cases. And this is case dependent, depending on the product. It's different for a lot of different people. But I believe that those are the people who are going to help you grow your product organically. Aman Deep has a question. Are bulk emails and SMSs a good source for advertising? Also, are there any authentic service providers for that who can deliver mail on Gmail too? I'm not sure I understand the second part of your question about delivering mail on Gmail, but as far as bulk emails and SMS, a lot of people might be inclined to go and purchase a mailing list, purchase leads. However, something to keep in mind is that a lot of those emails are going to go to the spam folder. A lot of those emails are going to not necessarily work that well because people are not opting into them. People are not asking for them. I don't know if that's what you're referring to with bulk emails. Now, that said, if you have an email, if you're capturing emails, if you're using email marketing with people who have opted into your email list, that is one of your most powerful advertising and acquisition channels. I hope that answers your question, Amandeep. As far as SMS is concerned, it's the same kind of thinking. If you're going to send an SMS to somebody, it's best to do that because it's so personal, it's so specific to an individual person, and it's something that everyone's going to see very immediately on their phone. It's important to think about how would you react if you got a text message that was talking about a product and you never remembered showing any interest in it. You might not be as interested. In fact, you definitely wouldn't be as interested as if you indicated interest in the first place. I hope that answers your question, Amandeep. And if it doesn't, then please let me know and I can elaborate a little bit more. Let's talk about measuring success in relation to a landing page and validating a most viable product. Typically you want, and there's some copy up here that's a little bit odd, but this is actually from a deck that talks about our company. I guess there was a little bit of a miscommunication there, but that is okay. Let's look at the signups, relevant traffic, and medium specific here. Some people talk about 350 to 400 conversions. That's one way to do it to determine the success and whether your product is worth exploring further. However, if you're getting between 100 and 200 signups with a 25% conversion rate, that also works as well. The 350 to 400 signups might be, a 10% conversion rate. So it's all in relation to each other. 100, 200 signups with a 25% conversion rate. So 25% of the people that are going to a page are signing up. That is an indicator. It's very important to limit your targeting to relevant traffic to those who actually have an interest in your product. It's good to be as specific as possible. Now, this is something that's going to take experimentation. You might not know exactly right off the bat what is going to what audience, what traffic is going to be the most effective, and so this is something you're going to have to experiment on. KPIs, key performance indicators as a metric, are also going to be very important depending on the channel. Facebook and AdWords, as I mentioned before, are different. They do have a different quality about them, and those KPIs are best determined by you personally, depending on what your product is. That is the presentation right now. I'm going to dive into the product demo very, very shortly, but I want to make sure that I get all the questions answered that are coming up so far. So let me go and look through the chat here and see what I can find. Let's see here. Some instances where using a product image is a better option versus using an end result image. I think a good example, I think a lot of people want these best practices. A lot of people want these general rules that you can follow. I am not necessarily inclined to say that there is always a good or a bad way to do something. It is all about testing, and every single product is going to be different. A good using a product image might be better for somebody who is using a product image is probably a better thing to do when somebody is aware of the problem. So going back here, let's go back up to Facebook ads, or Google AdWords rather. Google AdWords is really targeted for people who are aware of the problem and are already looking for a solution. So using a picture of the product because they're already aware of the outcome is going to be something that is likely more powerful. That said, Facebook ads, when people are not yet aware of the problem and not yet aware of what they can get out of the solution once they find it, that's where an end result might be more powerful. So Kahinde, I hope that answers your question. Please let me know if it did not. Wisdom wants to know how landing pages help with a B2B business model. Landing pages help with a B2B business model tremendously. A lot of B2B companies are using landing pages, including Oracle, which is one of our customers. B2B is different than B2C in that somebody who is B2B is going to want more specific information. They have to make generally speaking, B2B products are more expensive. And they're going to want to make a much more informed decision before submitting an email or before converting. So you're going to want to use more technical language. You're going to want to use more data-driven language, more statistics, more case studies, whereas a B2C product is a little bit more general. Does that? I hope that answers your question, Wisdom. All right, let's keep going here through the questions so far. All right, I think that goes through. I think those are the questions at the moment. So let's go and take a look at the product, and I can show you how it works in relation to everything that we've talked about. All right, here is our homepage. As you can see, it is a very exploratory experience, like I mentioned. It talks about our value propositions, talks a little bit about our company. There are some of our clients, some of our customers. Some testimonials, what our customers are saying. That's a very, very powerful thing from an exploratory point of view and from a landing page point of view, a focused point of view as well. All right, I am going to log in right here. I'll put my email address in. I already have an account. And here we are. This is the dashboard. So I'm going to create a new page here. You can see that there are different ways you can organize your landing pages. Typically, you could, if you're just talking about, validating an MVP, idea validation, you could just keep it simple and have one organizational sub-account up here. But we organize things in quite a detailed way here at Instapage. So let me create a new page and show you our builder. The easiest way and the best way to do this, in my mind, is using a template, especially if you're in an idea validation stage. So these are a number of our templates that we have available. These are all designed by our in-house designers. They're really fantastic designers. I've worked with quite a few designers in my time, and these are some of the best that I've ever worked with. There are a number of different templates. If it's lead generation, something that is more geared towards B2B wisdom, and something that is more geared towards getting somebody into a sales process, it's going to be different than somebody who is, if you're advertising a mobile app. So since a lot of you are asked, since I know some of you are attending attending this webinar on a mobile app, let's take a look at a few of our templates. You can start with a blank page, but I always recommend starting with one of the templates because they're so well designed to begin with. So I'm going to preview this. I can scroll through here and find one that I like really quickly, and I like this one, so I'm going to edit this page. I am going to call this MVP validation. Okay, cool. Now the bottom line is that it's incredibly easy to edit all of this stuff. You don't need to have any design experience. You don't need to have any coding experience. If you do have design and coding experience, you can go through and add a custom code up here. There's for the body, the footer, the header, whatever it is. You can also add JavaScript. That is an option as well. But everything's super easy to use. So I can just go through. I can change this text. I can go through and I can change any images. So this image here, if I want to change this image, I can go through and I can find an image that works. We do have free images that you can use, or if you want to use anything out of the big stock library, it's $5 per image, but the images are royalty free, so that is an option as well. There are different sections on the page here. So if I want to delete a section, maybe I don't need this one. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. Or yeah, I don't need this one either. If you want to add, some sort of video on the back of the section, you can do that as well. Everything is 100% customizable. I can move things however I think is best. Let me show you how the lead capture works and the form capture works here. So I am going to go to download today. This is the CTA button, and there are 2 CTAs on this page. So I'm going to click download today. I'm going to click edit here. And if I want to change the appearance of the button, I can do that very easily with the color. I can change it to a glossy, just kind of, there's a lot you can play with here in terms of customizing what the page looks like. If I want to change the text to download now, there it is. Super easy to do. Now, what's more important is that when I select this button and I want to edit it, if I want to change the click event is what's going to happen when somebody clicks on that call to action. I can use an outside URL. So I can have this go to my homepage after somebody experiences this targeted, customized, messaged aligned landing page here. I can send it to another landing page. I could send it to an on-page link. So if I want to do that, I could have it linked to this section down here, and someone clicks on that, and it's going to go down on the page or up on the page or whatever you specify. I can also have file download. So if I have an ebook or I have a video or anything else attached to this button, when I click this button, it's going to download. Let's say that I want to do some sort of email capture. I could click a pop-up here, and I could insert a form. Having that form, if someone fills that out, and I use an integration with MailChimp or any email service provider that I mentioned as an essential tool, I can do that here as well. Now, that said, if you don't have a MailChimp integration and you don't have any of these other tools, we do have internal tracking that you can use to see who is signing up. So let's just go for that right now. So I'm going to edit the pop-up once again, make sure that it's the way I want it to be. Name and email. And you know what? I am going to edit this form. I'm going to add a field. I am going to say, I'm going to say also want their location. So now there's 3 choices there. If I want to edit this, I can do it like that. If I want to delete it, I can do it with that button right there. So let's save this. And as an example, you can publish this page to your own domain. If your page, and it says actually let's go back to the mobile page first, because this is the desktop version. If you want to edit the mobile version, it's going to be a little bit different. This is the mobile optimized version of your page, and I always recommend looking at this version and making changes to optimize it for the mobile experience. Because people are just browsing on their phones and it's more about discovery and people have less time because they're on the go or whatever it is, I'm going to delete the image. I am going to drag this up here. I'll drag that down. I'll drag that up so the button is very, very visible. And then I'll bring this up here. And you know what? I want to keep this page as simple as possible. So I'm actually going to delete this section. Okay, go back to desktop to do that. So keeping this simple. So this is the entire page now. It's incredibly simple. It doesn't talk too much about the app, but of course, if we were doing something for real here, if we were doing a real app or a real e-commerce product or whatever it is, we're going to want to put more information. I'm just showing you this way so I can show you a few other features later with the time that we have. All right, so yeah, this looks pretty good. I am going to make this section shorter here because it's really big right now. Yeah, that works for me. Okay, cool. So I'm going to hit publish. You can publish on a custom domain, so any domain that you own. If you built your page on WordPress, you can do that here. If you built your page on Drupal, that is an option as well. If you have a page on Facebook, if you have an account on Facebook that is a page for your business or your product, and you want to publish this as a component of it, it's going to publish the mobile version, something very, very important to be aware of. That's something that Facebook does. That's not something that we do. And you can also publish to a demo page. A demo page is going to automatically have this URL, and then you can specify this right here. So I'm going to call this MVP validation. That URL is now live. It's out in the wild, as we say. Here it is right here. So I am going to actually put that in the chat so you can click on it. I see there's a couple questions. I'll get to those in just a second. So if you click on that page, you'll see that this is going to come up. And if you click on that download now, and normally you'd want to put like a CTA there that's actually going to reflect the product. I can put my name, I can put my email, and I can put my location. I'm going to submit this. I recommend that a lot of you do it as well, so I can show you how our leads work and how our tracking works. So let's see if anyone's been on the page yet. All right, cool. We've got 7 unique visitors, and that is just on one variation. We have not made an A/B test yet. Very, very cool. Speaking of which, let's go back and make that A/B test so I can show you how easy it is to do that. All right, I'm going to click on that page. Whoops, I'm going to click on that page to edit it once again. And I'm just going to create an A/B test here. So this is variation A. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to skip the mobile review for now. And all I'm going to do, the only thing I'm going to do here is change the CTA text. So I'm going to say, get this app now. That is the only thing that is going to be different on this page. I'm going to save it. I'm going to publish the changes. And now it is live. So if you guys go and you click on that link again that I just sent you, some of you are going to be sent to variation A. Some of you are going to be sent to variation B. So let's go back to the dashboard here. And take a look at our analytics again. All right, so nobody has been sent to variation B yet, but over time it will because the traffic is split 50-50. You can adjust the traffic split if you want to do it differently. If you want to pause a certain variation or change it, you can do it that way too. Here's the data down, here's the data down here. And as you can see, nobody has visited yet. Let's see if anybody has done that so we can see people coming through. All right, not quite yet. Let me jump to our leads so you can see what happens. Hopefully some of you have submitted. I know I have. There they are. Okay, very, very cool. So now as you can see, what happened here is when people filled out that form, when people filled out that form, the leads, the emails, whatever information you're capturing with what you provided here is going to be sent to this part of our platform. You can download this as an Excel sheet, and if you are using email service provider, this will, and you use the integration with the form, this will get sent to the email service provider or your marketing automation or whatever it might be. All right, let's look at some questions here. Harpreet wants to know, is it good to create hype for your product many months before it is launched when your team is still working on R&D? My answer for that, Harpreet, is yes. You want to let people know about your product as soon as possible. However, You don't want to create that coming soon page. You want to make sure that you are giving them value immediately. And something to keep in mind is, especially when you're doing idea validation, you want to be out validating your MVP. You want to be giving them something that's going to give you a sense of whether or not this project, this product is working on. So one way you can do that is if you, let's say that you're creating, I'm coming up with this off the top of my head, but let's say that you're creating a product that helps people check their blood pressure. That's just an example. You might want to, and let's say, let's even get more specific here. Let's say that you're creating a product that helps doctors check people's blood pressure, and it's better or different than the other products on the market. You might want to create some sort of resource, some sort of information that is relevant to that specific type of product, or even better, if you have the simplest version of it, you have something that is just very, very bare bones, and you can give it to people and get some testimonials. That is still better than a coming soon page because the product is out in the world. There are people who are using it, and you can see that people are getting value out of it. Now, the way that I would probably do this in that specific situation is I would say that I would use, instead of saying, coming soon, we're still working on updating it, I would say we're out of it right now. We don't have any more and we are making more. Would you like to be notified as soon as there are more available? That's a very, very different experience than signing up for something that is not ready yet. It's never come out. Nobody knows about it. Nobody's used it. I hope that answers your question, Harpreet. I'm on deep. This is a big question, so let me take a second to read it here. Okay, I'll read this out loud, but I want to kind of get a sense of it first. Let me go to the second part of your question quickly. If we run special discounts on our products, or we have a unique product or new concept, then promotional mails and SMSs would help in fetching customers. For your existing customers, if they have given you their emails and given you their phone numbers for SMS, then yeah, that might be a good way to go about doing that. As far as the first part of your question. So there's an interesting thing here that some people don't know, but I happened to figure this out. You said that a lot of bulk emails get sent to spam with Gmail or are blocked, but they work in Yahoo Mail. Now, there's a specific reason for that. If you are using an HTML email, something that is not text-based, it is more likely to go to spam or go to a different folder that is not their regular inbox. That's one of the ways that Google will filter what is considered spam and what is not. It also depends on the language that you're using in the email that you send out. If you are using a lot of if you're using sentence casing, which means just one capital letter and then normal text afterwards, that's going to look much better than using a bunch of different, capitals and big words like combined, smushed together. It's all about how readable it is and how real it looks. Let's see here. You have other questions. Let me see if I can answer this. The bulk mailing services, I'm wondering if you can maybe define that a little bit more. If you're talking about mailing to Amazon users, that is different. That is different than bulk mailing to people who have never signed up for your product. I do not recommend purchasing a list to send mail to. A lot of people don't like that, and they don't convert very well. That said, if you're using a company like Amazon that's sending the product out to their users, that is okay. As far as any authentic or other well-known companies like Amazon, Amazon's a pretty good one. And this is, again, if I'm understanding your question correctly. But I pretty much always recommend that you're going to want to use the email addresses that you already have, that people have given you because they've expressed interest in your product. I hope that that was able to answer your question. All right. Let's see. Lukman Lawal wants to know what are the things you need to do or consider when you are to test products, and what segment of your market will you consider when testing new products? Let me see how to. That's a big question. There's a lot that you can say about that. Let me give you a more specific. And the truth, I'm trying to figure out the best way to answer this, because if you're able to, Lukman, if you could be a little bit more specific in terms of what you need, that would be great. That said, let me try to give you the best answer that I can. When you are considering what segment of your market will consider, when you're considering what segment of your market will be interested in a new product, ultimately it's a hypothesis. It is about testing. You have to really kind of experiment, and a lot of it's going to be based upon just what you think in the very beginning. What you really need to do, and there are ways that you can, if you're looking at different blogs, if you're looking on the internet to find what people are talking about, you're looking to find what other products are out there. I assume that this is all stuff that you're doing already, comparing, what you have to what other people are offering, etc. After you do the research that most people are doing, most people are looking at what Facebook pages are getting engagement. What is being talked about on Twitter? What is being talked about on Reddit? What is being talked about on other social media platforms? Once you do that kind of research, it is about testing. You can formulate your own hypothesis, your own opinion based on all of that other research that you do, but ultimately, you're going to have to test and see what works and what sticks the best. Let me see. Do any of you have any other questions? I'm happy to answer more if you have them. Let's see here. I want to make sure that I covered every question that came up. Yeah, it looks like I got pretty much everything. I hope that you guys. I think that you guys found that that there was a lot of information there. I know that there was a lot to absorb in that period of time. Let me talk a little bit more about creating hype. What you can do is have a very specific page, like I said, that matches the experience that people are having when they get to that page. As far as creating hype around a product, creating something that's shareable, having conversations on social media. People like to talk about things. People like to talk in specific niche communities. If there are ways to talk about your product in a specific group of people online that have specific interest, that is a way for you to get faster traction. Creating hype is not something, it's not that there's no set in stone formula. There's no rules to live by in terms of that. But I would say that what it really comes down to is creating conversation and fostering and creating opportunities for other people to have conversation about your product without you having to start the conversation yourself. So social is a good place for that. Reddit is a good place for that. Even doing things in person, taking your product to a physical location, doing a demo there if it's a piece of hardware or if it's an e-commerce product, and having people give you their emails in person, writing it on paper, and then you inputting it yourself, or doing it on the computer that you have there, or your phone, or whatever it may be. So those are a few ways that you can create hype. And we could talk about that for quite a few hours, to be completely honest. But those are some basic ways that you can do that. I'm going to turn it over to Daniel now while we wrap up. But I do want to thank all of you for taking the time to join me today. I hope that you found that useful. And I do want to give you my email. I love getting emails from people with questions. So if you would like to reach out to me, please feel free to do so. I'm happy to give you a little bit of advice as my time allows. I am very, very busy, but I do answer every single email that I get, even if it takes me a few days or even a week. So please feel free to reach out. I would love to help. I'd love to hear about the products that you're working on and lend my insight and expertise however I can. So Daniel, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there, Andrew. Thank you very much for a very useful webinar. It was full of content and full of useful content, and I just want to make sure that everybody hears it, but we'll make sure that the recording of this webinar will be available to you under our YouTube channel, Start Any, so you can review it and maybe download the slides, or maybe reach out to Ander for some additional questions. If you have any additional questions about our webinar series or specifically about this webinar, don't hesitate to email us either at Ethohum or email Ander specifically. So I think that's it. Ander, thank you very much for dedicating your time to educating our community on how to effectively use landing pages, and I feel assured that our community will make the best of it. So thank you very much.
Excellent. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ander.
Yep. Good luck with everybody.
Thank you very much. Take care.